My name is Elena Marie Lockhart. I'm 28 years old, a propulsion engineer with a master's degree in aerospace thermodynamics, and for the last 4 years, I've been the invisible ghost haunting my family's empire. In Seattle, where the Puget Sound carves its silver path through evergreen shadows, the Lockhart name is etched into the bones of the aerospace industry. Lockhart Aeronautics, founded in 1912, built the first American fighter plane to break the sound barrier. Now it builds private jets for oil tycoons and arms dealers, dominates the skyline, both literally with its glass and steel headquarters overlooking Elliott Bay, and figuratively as the titan of supersonic jet design. I grew up in the shadow of those wings, learning calculus before cursive and wind tunnel schematics before bedtime stories. By 16, I could disassemble a turbofan engine blindfolded. By 22, I'd graduated top of my class at MIT. But none of that matters here, in the Medina estate, where I'm still just Vivian Lockhart's disappointing daughter. My mother, Vivian Lockhart, presides over it all as CEO, her authority as unyielding as the titanium alloys we engineer. Every Sunday, without exception, she summons the family to our estate in Medina, a sprawling modernist cage where I've served as both heir and ghost for 4 excruciating years. Mother's voice sliced through the cathedral-ceilinged living room, sharp as a rivet gun. It was Sunday, always Sunday, and I stood in my uniform of servitude, a black turtleneck and slacks, the same outfit I'd worn to my father's last birthday party, to my sister's engagement announcement, to every event where my role was to be present but unseen. The 2015 Opus 1, she said, not glancing up from her tablet, where quarterly profit margins glowed like a pagan altar, 62 degrees. And don't let Harper near it, she'll drown it in ice again. I nodded, the obedient automaton, and retreated to the wine vault. I slipped into the climate-controlled wine vault, the hum of refrigeration masking my gritted teeth. As the cellar door hissed shut behind me, I leaned against a rack of Bordeaux and let myself breathe. 4 years. 4 years since I came home from MIT, degree in hand, only to find my job offer from Lockhart's R&D division came with strings. Live here, keep quiet, let your brother take credit. Mother's words still hissed in my memory. Genius is unseemly in a daughter, Elena. Be useful instead. So I became the family's Swiss Army knife, sommelier, event planner, silent witness to every boardroom secret. By day, I designed engines that could have revolutionized sustainable flight. By night, I scraped caviar off Mother's Limoges china. The intercom crackled. The wine. 4 years I'd spent playing stewardess in my own home, pouring vintages older than my sister's designer handbags, while by day I hid in plain sight as a lead propulsion engineer at Lockhart's R&D division. My blueprints for a hydrogen-fueled engine gathered dust in encrypted servers, my name scrubbed from patents, my breakthroughs funneled into my brother's accolades. My older sister Harper, 32, her voice syrup-sweet and serrated, former Air Force pilot, current social media aviation influencer, had perfected the art of weaponized charm. Her Instagram, at Sky Queen Harper, featured exactly 1,572 posts, Harper and cockpit selfies, sipping champagne in first-class lounges, posing with Lockhart's latest jets. Not a single photo included me, unless you counted the time I appeared as a blurred shadow in the background of her Dubai air show reel. The intercom crackled. Elena, the wine. Coming, I muttered, cradling the Opus 1 like a grenade. The elevator opened directly into the dining room, a steel and glass cage suspended above the sound. stood at the floor-to-ceiling window, filming the sunset for her followers. "And this is why Seattle's the Emerald City, babes," she chirped, her diamond headset glinting. "Don't forget to smash that like button." She cornered me in the hallway later. You're sweating." She wrinkled her nose. "Can't you at least wear makeup? You look like a cadaver," she sneered, adjusting the diamond-studded headset she wore for her Cockpit Confessions live streams. Her feed was a montage of first-class lounges, hash girl boss aviation panels, and sponsored ascents in Lockhart's latest jets, all surgically edited to exclude me, the sibling who'd rather calculate thrust ratios than take selfies. "Not all of us get Botox for our LinkedIn headshots," I said, setting the wine decanter down. Harper's smile tightened. "Harper, cute. Maybe if you tried harder, Mom wouldn't hide you in the basement." The barb landed where it always did, in the raw space between my ribs where hope used to live. Harper wasn't wrong. At family galas, Mother introduced her as my daughter, the pilot, and me as Elena, who assists us. Even now, at Sunday dinners, my chair sat slightly farther from the table, a silent semaphore of my place. Father arrived late, as always, smelling of scotch and regret. Former test pilot, current ghost, had once flown experimental jets through thunderheads. Now he flew only between his study and the golf course, a man folded into the creases of his own life. He nodded at me, a flicker of something that might have been guilt, before burying himself in Aviation Week. Mother took her seat last, as royalty does. Vivian Lockhart, 58, CEO, Ice Queen of the Pacific Northwest. Her silver bob never frayed. Her Saint Laurent suits never wrinkled. She surveyed the table, the truffle-topped filet mignon, the heirloom china, the daughter she'd clipped the wings of, and said, "Harper, tell us about your Boeing collab." Harper launched into a story about empowering women in aviation, her phone propped to capture Mother's approving nods. I drifted, as I always did, to the window. Somewhere beyond the sound, past the yachts and seaplanes, Lockhart's R&D hangar hummed with the project I'd buried there, Project Icarus, a hydrogen-powered engine that could have rewritten the future of flight. But Mother had other plans. "Elena?" I blinked. 3 pairs of eyes pinned me to the spot. "The wine," Harper hissed. Mother's gaze was a scalpel. "Distracted again, sorry." I poured the Opus 1, my hands steady only because I'd trained them to be. "Oh my God, are you crying?" Harper snorted. A single traitorous tear streaked my cheek. I wiped it with a napkin embroidered with our family crest, an eagle clutching a thunderbolt. "Soar higher," it read, a joke only I understood. "Allergies," I lied. I recall my colleagues whispering, "Why endure this?" They didn't know about Liam. 4 more months, I told myself. 4 more months and the board vote, while I passed seared Wagyu in silence. Mother's eyes narrowed. She knew. Of course she knew. Vivian Lockhart's greatest talent was smelling weakness like jet fuel, but she said nothing, because the Lockhart Code demanded it, never acknowledged the cracks. As the conversation shifted to Harper's upcoming TED Talk, How to Crush the Glass Ceiling at 30,000 Feet, I slipped my phone from my pocket. One unread message lit the screen, an encrypted signal thread with a single contact, Liam. "Got the specs." "Board meeting moved to Thursday. You ready?" I thumbed a reply, heart hammering. "Born ready." Liam crashed into my life during Project Icarus, a black-budget initiative to develop eco-friendly engines, work I'd pursued covertly after hours. A maverick aerospace engineer fresh from Lockheed Martin, he'd stormed into Lockhart's hangar one midnight, demanding access to my hydrogen cell prototypes. "You're Vivian's daughter?" he'd asked, eyeing my grease-streaked coveralls. "Then why aren't you running this circus?" Over smuggled IPAs in a Boeing Field dive bar, we dissected Lockhart's suppression of green tech, data buried to protect fossil fuel contracts. Liam's mind was a fusion reactor, burning through corporate lies to the molten truth beneath. "They'll never see you coming," he'd said, his calloused hand brushing mine as he slid a USB drive across the sticky table. "But I do. For months we worked in stolen moments, engine tests disguised as maintenance checks, blueprints hidden in catering orders. Liam had been blacklisted by 3 firms for whistleblowing. They called me a liability," he confessed under the red glow of a hangar emergency light. "You? You're a silent missile. That's why they'll dread you." Exactly 4 months later, the detonation came at the Pacific Aerospace Gala. The gala was always held in Hangar 7, a cavernous space where Lockhart's first supersonic jets had been built. Tonight, the steel ribs of the roof glittered with 1,000 twinkling lights, and the floor had been transformed into a mirror-polished dance floor. Ice sculptures of fighter planes melted slowly beside towers of oysters and champagne. The air smelled of jet fuel and jasmine, a dissonant cocktail of industry and opulence. Harper live-streamed her entrance, the comments exploding with rocket emojis. I stood near the entrance, invisible in my thrifted black blazer itching at the collar, as Harper's laughter cut through the crowd. She held court beside a scale model of the Lockhart X700, her neon pink blazer glowing under the spotlights. "And of course sustainability is so important to us," she purred into her phone, angling her diamond headset for the live stream. "That's why I'm partnering with Boeing on their eco-conscious fleet expansion." The lie coiled in my stomach like a serpent. "Another glass, miss?" A waiter offered champagne. "No," I said too quickly. My hands trembled. 4 months of encrypted emails, midnight meetings in rain-soaked parking garages, the USB drive hidden in my clutch, heavy as a detonator. Then the hangar doors groaned open. A cold wind swept in, scattering napkins and silencing the string quartet. Liam Cole stood in the doorway, backlit by the tarmac's floodlights, his silhouette sharp as a blade. He wore a Brunello Cucinelli suit, charcoal and flawless, but no tie, just the top button undone, revealing a sliver of a scar from a long-ago engine fire. His hair, perpetually tousled from running hands through it, caught the light like burnished copper. The room held its breath. Liam didn't walk. He loped, a predator's grace cutting through the crowd. Guests parted instinctively, their champagne flutes trembling. Harper's phone dipped midstream. Mother rose from her seat at the head table, her Saint Laurent suit suddenly too stiff, too mortal. "Miss Lockhart," Liam said, stopping before me. His voice was a live wire. "Mr. Cole." I forced a smile. "Play the part, just a little longer." He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "Ready to burn it down?" Before I could answer, he strode to the podium. Mother reached for the mic, but Liam was faster. He flicked a switch on the holographic projector, and suddenly the hangar filled with light. Not the soft glow of chandeliers, but the cold blue pulse of my hydrogen engine schematics, rotating above us like a constellation. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "tonight Lockhart Aeronautics wants you to believe they're pioneers, but I'm here to show you what they bury." A tap on his phone. The hologram shifted. Emails stamped confidential bloomed in the air. "Harper to PR team scrap the eco-narrative. Oil partners are threatening to pull funding." "Vivian to board terminate Project Icarus, too risky." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras swung toward Mother, her face a mask of frozen fury. This, Liam said, pointing to the engine schematic, is Elena Lockhart's hydrogen propulsion system. It could reduce aviation emissions by 70%. And this, he swiped, a video played, showing Mother ordering me to bury it in a board meeting, is why you've never heard of it. Cameras flashed. Mother's champagne flute froze mid-sip. And this victory, Liam continued, his eyes locking onto mine, belongs to Elena Lockhart, whose designs her family tried to bury. Harper lunged for the podium, her phone still streaming. This is bullshit. Someone cut the feed. Too late. Liam tapped again. A three-dimensional rendering of the engine roared to life, its core glowing green. Lockhart's board approved this project today, he said, but only after Elena leaked their secrets to the press. And me. They're rather fond of avoiding PR disasters. The three-dimensional schematics swirling above us, my engine prototypes, Harper's deleted emails about oil lobby payouts, cast jagged shadows across Mother's face. The hangar erupted. Reporters surged forward. Mother's chair screeched as she stood. "You traitor!" she hissed at me, her composure cracking like thin ice. I stepped forward, my heels echoing. "No, Mother, you're the traitor, to this family, to the planet." The hologram shifted one last time, a live feed of Lockhart's boardroom, where shareholders raised hands in a unanimous vote. Super Project Icarus approved. Harper's phone slipped from her grip, plunging into her lobster bisque with a glug. Father stood, his eyes glistening, his voice a hollow rasp. "Elena, why?" "Because this empire was built on poison," I said, the words igniting like afterburners. Then chaos, a shattering glass, a scream, Mother's snarl of security, but Liam was already at my side, his hand gripping mine. "We're launching a new venture, Kestrel Dynamics. We build what your boardrooms sabotage. Time to go," he said, pulling me toward the doors. We ran. Wind whipped my hair as we hit the tarmac, the night alive with the scream of departing jets. Behind us, shouts. Ahead, Liam's black Rivian, parked illegally beneath a no-stopping sign. "Did you see her face?" He laughed as the 665-horsepower electric engine came to life. I didn't answer. I was too busy watching the rear-view mirror, not for security, but for the hangar, shrinking in the distance. For the hologram still glowing, my name etched in light for the first time. Elena Lockhart, engineer, revolutionary, ghost no more. As we merged onto I-5, rain began to fall, a clean, relentless wash. Somewhere behind us, Lockhart's empire smoldered. The implosion was swift. By dawn, the Seattle Times crowned us the Climate Avengers. By noon, Lockhart's stock nosedived as eco-terrorists hacked billboards with Harper's leaked texts. Father resigned, leaving a model of the doomed 747 MAX and a note, "I'm listening now." 1 year later, our hangar near Mount Rainier thrums with purpose. Morning light glints off Liam's tungsten wedding band, a metal chosen for its unyielding qualities. The walls vibrate with turbine tests instead of ancestral portraits. Today, the FAA approved our first commercial test flight. To Elena Lockhart, Liam toasted, his grin sharp as a wing's leading edge, the quietest quake in aerospace. Last night, an email arrived. "Elena, the board forced your mother to step down. She's adrift. But I've joined the Clean Skies Initiative. Could we meet? Not as Lockharts, as father and daughter. Wesley." I'm drafting my reply when Harper appears at our hangar unannounced. Her pilot wings are tarnished, her voice stripped of its trademark bravado. "I'm retraining as an electric flight instructor, the real kind." She hesitates, then adds, "Mother says you've destroyed us, but I think you might have saved the sky. Outside, autumn rain sweeps across the Puget Sound, each drop a rivet in the storm's fuselage. Liam leans against a half-assembled engine, his presence a steady hum. "What do you think?" he asks, nodding at Harper's tentative outstretched hand. "I think," I say, "we're redefining what legacy means." Somewhere beyond the clouds, a test engine roars to life, its clean burn slicing through the thunder, carving contrails toward a horizon unshackled from yesterday's ghosts.
Okay, so for this deep dive,
Yeah.
you sent us something really interesting.
Yeah.
The Lockhart Horizon
Oh, yeah.
by Elena Maria Lockhart, who is, a propulsion engineer.
Right. Proportional.
And
I mean, aerospace engineering.
yeah.
I mean, that's a fascinating field.
Yeah, and right away.
Really is.
You know what kind of jumps out at you is this almost like
It's a contrast.
this tension between someone with, obvious brilliance in aerospace, but who's operating like completely in the shadow of their, very powerful family.
Right.
And their company, Lockhart Aeronautics.
Lockhart Aeronautics, huge company.
Yeah, so it makes you think, like, how often does that happen?
All the time, probably. I mean, think about all the potential out there that never gets to see the light of day because
Yeah, exactly.
or other power structures.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because right away the document kind of sets up Lockhart Aeronautics as this
like this almost legendary institution, right?
It's huge.
I mean, founded in 1912.
Wow.
Way back when.
Yeah.
They weren't just building planes, they were kind of defining moments in aviation.
Yeah.
I mean, they built the first American fighter to break the sound barrier.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
that's a big deal. And now, as Elena describes it, they've kind of evolved into this.
Yeah, they're a huge private company now.
Yeah, dealing in high-end jets, private jets,
Yeah.
arms,
Yeah.
They're like this powerhouse.
And they dominate supersonic jet design.
From their base in Seattle.
Right.
I mean, it's really an entrenched force.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too because, she isn't just some distant relative or whatever.
Yeah.
Her connection is so like visceral, like she grew up with this.
Yeah, she talks about her childhood being immersed in the science of it.
Yeah.
Like calculus before cursive,
Yeah.
understanding wind tunnel schematics before nursery rhymes.
Right.
Like, she was taking apart turbofans by the time she was 16.
Wow.
Yeah, and then by 22, she was at the top of her class at MIT.
So this isn't just privilege.
No.
Like, she's clearly brilliant.
This is inherent talent, cultivated mastery of this field.
Yeah, but that's where it gets so interesting because she's got this amazing background, but she talks about feeling like this...
a disappointing daughter.
Yeah, a disappointing daughter.
Like a ghost
Yeah.
in her own family.
Right.
And you really see that in the descriptions of these Sunday family dinners.
Oh, yeah, at their estate.
At the Medina estate, yeah.
Yeah.
Presided over by her mother, Vivian Lockhart.
Yeah, the CEO.
Who's depicted as formidable.
Oh, yeah.
Unyielding.
Unbelievable.
As the titanium alloys their planes are made of.
Right. It really is interesting how, like...
The personal dynamics clash with her professional capabilities.
Yeah, and it's, you get these glimpses into her her assigned role within the family.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because you have this this highly accomplished engineer who's tasked with something like, so specific as like retrieving a particular vintage of wine.
Right.
Like a 2015 Opus 1.
Kept at a very precise 62 degrees.
Yeah. And,
away from your sister.
So you get away from Harper. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's a strange juxtaposition, right?
Yeah.
Of all this talent. And she's basically being used as
a servant.
A glorified servant.
Yeah.
It really underscores the families.
Yeah. What are their priorities, right?
Warped priorities.
Yeah. And it's such a, it's this jarring contrast.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you have, this incredible wealth of knowledge and potential.
Sure.
And like professional stuff,
Professional, yeah. I mean, she's the lead propulsion engineer at Lockhart R&D.
Yeah.
She's sitting on these blueprints for a hydrogen-fueled engine.
This revolutionary stuff.
Revolutionary technology that could change the world.
Right.
But instead, she's, scraping caviar off.
Retrieving wine.
Yeah. It's just amazing, the contrast.
And the thing about the blueprints, too, is that
Oh, yeah.
they're just gathering dust.
Being used.
Yeah.
And not only that, but her name is actually being removed from patents.
Yeah.
And her brother is taking credit for her breakthroughs.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, this is like a deliberate erasure of her contribution.
Right. Within the company she could be leading.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about the family dynamic a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because it really feels like the engine that's driving her internal conflict.
Right.
Her mother, Vivian,
Oh, boy.
comes across as this.
She's a force of nature.
Yeah, she's so driven.
Driven, ruthless.
And she's completely dismissive of Elena's genius.
I mean, she literally says, genius is unseemly in a daughter, be useful instead.
It's unbelievable.
It really makes you think about the pressures and expectations placed on women in these male-dominated fields.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, if it's not just that she, doesn't recognize her talent, but that she's actually suppressing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she's afraid of what it could do to the company.
I mean, if Elena's ideas were to be implemented,
right,
it would represent a huge shift for the company.
Yeah.
It would disrupt their current trajectory.
Right. They make so much money.
They're making a killing.
From their fossil fuel-based technology.
Right. And Elena's work is all about green tech.
Yeah.
Hydrogen fuel.
Yeah.
It would undermine their entire business model.
Right.
So Vivian's insistence on Elena being useful might actually be a way of protecting the status quo.
Yeah.
And you see that play out even in the way they describe the Sunday dinners.
Yeah.
Elena's always in her uniform of servitude.
Yeah.
Her chair is positioned slightly apart from everyone else.
It's like she's being...
othered within her own family.
Okay, so then you have the sister...
Harper. Harper.
This 32-year-old.
Former Air Force pilot, now an aviation influencer.
Right, at Sky Queen Harper.
That's Sky Queen Harper.
On social media.
1,572 posts.
Filled with glamorous cockpit selfies.
Of course.
And none of Elena.
No.
It's so interesting.
It's fascinating, right? The way social media plays into all of this.
Yeah.
Because Harper's this... she's got this carefully curated persona, this weaponized charm, as they describe it.
Right, and her interest in sustainability feels so...
performative.
Yeah.
Especially when you compare it to Elena's actual work in green technology.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think about the role of, superficiality.
Great image. I mean, they're all about maintaining a certain image, and Elena doesn't fit into that image, so they kind of push her to the side.
And those remarks, too, about, Elena sweating.
Oh, my God.
No makeup.
The basement comment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's constant, subtle undermining.
Yeah.
Designed to keep Elena in her place.
Right.
Make her feel small.
Yeah, and then there's the father.
The father.
This former test pilot.
Yeah, he had his own,
Yeah, it's a big deal.
exciting career in aviation.
Yeah.
But now he's completely withdrawn.
Yeah, it says, smelling of scotch and regret.
Buried in Aviation Week.
Always reading Aviation Week.
Yeah.
And there's this sense of guilt toward Elena.
Yeah.
He knows it's not fair.
He knows.
But he doesn't do anything about it.
He's powerless.
Yeah.
Or unwilling to intervene.
And it's interesting, too, how he's always late.
Right.
To the family dinner.
Always late. He can't even bear to be there.
It's like he's emotionally detached.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have this really fascinating family dynamic.
Right.
The dominant mother.
The favorite child.
The overlooked daughter.
Yeah.
And the checked out father.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. And it really sets the stage for Elena's rebellion.
Right, because something's got to give.
Yeah.
You can't have that kind of pressure building up forever.
Right, and that brings us to the catalyst.
Project Icarus.
Project Icarus.
Her secret hydrogen-powered engine.
Yeah.
And the arrival of Liam Cole.
Yeah.
This rogue aerospace engineer.
Right, from Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
This is where things start to change.
This is where the cracks in the facade start to show.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that it takes an outsider.
Right, someone who's not part of that family dynamic to come in and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, why aren't you in charge?
This is amazing. Why is this being suppressed?
Exactly.
I mean, Liam just cuts right through all the BS.
Yeah, their first meeting is in the hangar at midnight.
Oh, yeah.
And he immediately questions why Elena isn't running the show.
Exactly.
It's so great.
It's like he sees her potential immediately.
Right, and they both understand that Lockhart is suppressing green tech to protect their fossil fuel contracts.
Of course.
And that shared understanding.
It forms this bond between them.
Right.
And it's cemented over smuggled IPAs at a Boeing Field dive bar.
I love that detail.
Yeah, it's great, right?
So they're united by this professional frustration.
Yeah.
And this sense of purpose.
They both want to see this technology succeed.
Right.
And they know that Lockhart is standing in the way.
Yeah, so their collaboration is shrouded in secrecy.
They have to be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going up against a very powerful entity.
Right. They do engine tests under the radar.
Late at night.
Yeah.
When no one's around.
They hide the blueprints.
Yeah.
And Liam has this history of being a whistleblower.
Yeah.
So he's considered a liability.
A loose cannon.
Yeah.
Someone who's not afraid to speak truth to power.
Right. And Elena becomes like this silent missile.
I love that.
Channeling all her energy into this project.
All that pent-up frustration and brilliance.
Yeah.
Just laser focused on this one goal.
And that image of them exchanging the USB drive.
Oh, yeah.
It's so symbolic.
It's like a passing of the torch.
Yeah.
You know, like the future is in that drive.
Right.
And they're both risking everything to get it out there.
Yeah.
So the tension just keeps building and building.
Right. And then we get to the Pacific Aerospace Gala.
Oh, yeah. This is a big event.
And Hangar 7.
A place steeped in Lockhart history.
Yeah.
This is where they unveiled their first supersonic jets.
Yeah.
So it's a very symbolic location.
And it's the perfect setting for Elena's reveal.
Right, because it's all about appearances. And Lockhart is putting on this big show of how innovative and forward-thinking they are.
And Harper is there.
Of course.
Playing the role of the eco-conscious heir, a parent.
Live streaming her arrival, making sure everyone sees her.
Right.
But Elena is invisible.
Yeah.
She's there, but she's nobody. But she's holding on to the secret.
It's about to explode.
That's going to bring the whole house of cards down.
Yeah.
And then Liam arrives.
Yeah.
And it's like a scene out of a movie. A sudden gust of wind, the room goes silent.
Yeah.
Everyone turns to look.
Yeah. And he's not intimidated at all.
No, not at all.
By all this wealth and power.
He doesn't care about any of that.
Yeah.
He's got a mission.
And he immediately takes control.
Yeah, he goes right for the holographic projector.
Yeah.
And starts displaying Elena's engine schematics.
It's so great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like watching justice unfold.
Yeah. And then he shows the emails. The emails and video footage.
Yeah, of Vivian ordering the project to be shut down.
It's undeniable proof that they were trying to bury this technology.
Right.
And he says this great line.
Yeah.
What they bury does not always stay buried.
So good.
Yeah. And then he says, this design belongs to Elena Lockhart, whose designs her family tried to bury.
It's so powerful.
He's giving her credit.
Yeah.
In front of the whole world.
Yeah.
He's exposing the truth.
Yeah, and then everything just erupts.
Chaos.
Harper's trying to shut down the live stream, but it's too late. The word is out.
Yeah.
And then there's this 3D rendering of Elena's engine.
It's like this tangible representation of her genius.
It's right there for everyone to see.
And then we find out that the board approved Project Icarus that day.
Because of Elena's leaks?
Yeah.
She forced their hand.
Right.
She played them.
Yeah. And there's this confrontation between Elena and Vivian.
Yeah.
And they just exchange this one word. So much weight behind that one word.
Right.
And then Harper's phone falls into the lobster bisque.
I love that detail.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's like a little bit of comic relief in this very tense moment.
And then the father says, Elena, why?
Yeah.
He's so clueless.
He has no idea what's been going on.
Yeah.
Right under his nose.
And Elena's response is amazing.
Because this empire was built on poison.
It's the perfect response.
Yeah.
She's rejecting everything her family stands for.
Right.
And she's making a statement.
Yeah, about her own values and what she believes in. And then they escape.
Yeah, in Liam's black Rivian.
Yeah.
And they form Kestrel Dynamics.
With the motto, we build what your boardroom sabotage.
I love that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like a declaration of war against the old guard.
Yeah, and Lena's watching the hangar shrink in the rearview mirror.
And her name is in lights.
Yeah.
She's finally free.
It's like a new beginning.
A new era.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the fallout.
Oh, yeah.
Headlines about climate avengers.
Yeah. Lockhart stock plummets.
Eco-terrorists, hacking billboards. It's like the world is waking up to the reality of climate change.
And then the father resigns.
Yeah.
And sends Elena this email.
Saying, I'm listening now.
Yeah.
Like, and he finally gets it.
Right.
He's finally paying attention.
And then a year later.
Kestrel Dynamics is thriving.
Yeah.
They have their own hangar near Mount Rainier.
Yeah, Liam's wearing a wedding band.
They're doing test flights.
And they get FAA approval.
Yeah, for their first commercial test flight.
It's amazing.
It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
And Liam gives this great toast.
Yeah.
Where he describes Elena as the quietest quake in aerospace.
Perfect.
Yeah, because she's changed the game.
Yeah.
Without making a lot of noise.
Right.
She just did her work.
And then there are the most recent developments.
Yeah.
The father sends another email.
Saying Vivian is stepping down.
What? She's stepping down.
And joining the Clean Skies Initiative.
Oh, wow.
So she's doing a complete 180.
Yeah.
She wants to meet with Elena.
Yeah.
But not as Lockhart's.
Yeah, like on equal terms.
Yeah.
Wow, and then Harper shows up.
Yeah.
At Kestrel Dynamics.
Out of the blue.
She's retraining to be an electric light instructor.
Yeah.
So she's trying to change too.
It seems like she's finally realizing the importance of what Elena's doing.
Right.
She's coming to terms with her own complicity
right.
in the family's actions.
It's just so fascinating how Elena goes from this invisible engineer
right.
to this revolutionary force.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think about the power of individual talent.
Absolutely.
And the courage it takes to challenge these huge institutions.
Especially when those institutions are your own family.
Yeah.
It's a very personal struggle.
Yeah.
But it has global implications.
Right. And I wonder, too,
yeah.
what kind of unseen obstacles might be out there, preventing other groundbreaking innovations.
It makes you think.
Yeah.
About all the things we don't know, all the potential that's being suppressed for all sorts of reasons.
So it brings up a question for you, the listener. What kind of quiet quakes are happening right now?
Yeah.
In your industry, in your field?
In your life?
Yeah.
What potential is waiting to be unleashed?
It's a good question to think about.
Yeah, because, you know, maybe you're sitting on the next big idea.
Maybe you are.
But you're afraid to share it.
For whatever reason.
Maybe you're afraid of what people will think.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're afraid of failure.
But what if you succeed?
Yeah.
What if you change the world?
What if you're the next Elena Lockhart?
Yeah.
It's worth thinking about.
Yeah.
It really is.
So keep your eyes open.
Pay attention.
Listen to that little voice inside you.
That's telling you to do something great.
Yeah.
Because you never know what might happen.
That's what this deep dive is all about.
Yeah.
It's about exploring the possibilities.
And challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
And keep diving.
Keep diving.